My name is Nye McGee with EUR Web. Thank you for giving me your time today, sir, to speak about. Obviously, you're being honored with the Trailblazer Award from Black Public Media. Very
Yeah,
exciting organization.
yeah, thank
And
you.
so I will kick things off by asking you about just that. As this year's recipient of the BPM Trailblazer Award, how does it feel to be recognized for your extensive career and education slash mentorship efforts?
Well, it's an exciting honor. I'm very pleased to be getting the honor. I feel like one of the important things for me as a documentary filmmaker is to be supportive of other filmmakers and their careers and stuff. And hopefully, I've been able to do that. You know, so it's an honor. I mean, I don't I'm not letting it go to my head, so it's fine.
Mentorship is a key aspect of this Trailblazer Award. So, can you share any memorable experiences or insights you've gained personally from your work as a mentor?
First of all, I would say understanding being a mentor really came from the people who mentored me. And the three people who were very strong mentors for me in my evolving career was a gentleman named Victor Koneski, the late Victor Koneski, who I was his assistant editor for 3 years and went on to edit for him. And he became a really good friend. And he basically sort of gave me the insights into how to be an editor. And then the second person that was very important as a mentor to me was the gentleman named George Bowers, also passed away. And he was an editor director, and he taught me how to be professional in the film business, how to think about it from a professional perspective. And the third person, a third important mentor for me was Mr. St. Clair Bourne, the late St. Clair Bourne, who made me realize and understand that as an African American filmmaker, that it was important for us to tell our story. So I've tried to take all of those things from these three gentlemen and pass it on. And one of the things that it may really been gratifying to me. Of about a month ago, I was on a Zoom about a project, and one of the producers on the project, who was one of my apprentice editors and became my assistant editor and became a collaborator as a director, was Geeta Gandabeer, and the other person was Sonia. Oh Jesus Christ, Sonia Gonzalez. And Sonia Gonzalez, and she was an apprentice, and she became an assistant for me, and then she went on to edit. And now she not only edits but directs. So when I was on the Zoom with these two ladies, I was gushing inside, because here were two people that I've mentored for years, and now they basically are carrying the mantle on as filmmakers in their own right. So to me, it's like one of the most important aspects of this career of mine is not only to make my own films, but to help shape the careers of other young people, in particular people of color. So I'm excited to continue, and I continue to mentor people to this day, and I will continue until I can't talk or walk or whatever.
So, is there one key piece of advice that you tend to offer aspiring filmmakers who are just starting out their journey in the industry?
Yeah, here's the advice. As a filmmaker in this business, which is, and particularly in the world of documentary, which can be very hazardous, you need patience and you need tenacity, because if you have those two things, you can probably go a long way. You need patience and tenacity. And then what happens as you develop in this business, you develop confidence and the ego, which is also an important aspect to have in being a filmmaker.
And then, of course, your work spans across directing, editing, producing, educating, as we just discussed. How, as a multifaceted creator, what aspects of your job, what aspects of filmmaking do you find most fulfilling, and why?
I find all of it fulfilling. I love the idea of coming up with an idea and then just taking it to the next level, creating a proposal, creating a deck, creating a sizzle reel, trying to pitch it. I don't like to pitch, but I know I have to do that to try to raise the money. So I embrace that. And then I love the idea of going into pre-production, finding your subjects, finding your locations, figuring out how to tell your story. I love the idea of going into production and shooting, and then sometimes shooting can be exhilarating, sometimes it can be frustrating. And then I love post-production. I love the editing process because I'm a former editor and I understand the post-production process probably more than all the other aspects of it and how to shape this narrative and how to shape the story to give it pacing and rhythm. So I love the filmmaking process. One thing I understand though about the filmmaking process was I know when to say my film is over and I can walk away. I did a panel last weekend in Philadelphia for Louis Messiah's organization, Scribe. And one of the questions asked me was, do you ever feel like after you finish the film, there's things you wish you would have put in and things you left on the editing room floor? And I said, I never had that issue. When the film is done, it's done. You know, and it could be. Sometimes they turn out really well for me. Sometimes it's just okay. There's some of my body of work that are mediocre. But when it's done, it's done. I don't lament, oh my God, I should have did this, I should have did that. I just move on to the next project.
Right on. So speaking of that, I mean, you mentioned raising money as part of what you love about filmmaking. Aside from raising money, we know the money make trying to raise the money and then making money off the project remains one of the greatest challenges. But are there any other significant challenges you believe filmmakers still face today, and how do you navigate them in your own projects?
Well, the biggest challenge is raising money. I mean, for documentary filmmakers, I mean, even with my reputation, it's hard to raise the money. So that's a major challenge you always confront. To me lately, the second biggest challenge is having to deal with executives at different streaming services or production companies who give you notes and they act like an old-fashioned film studio, like they want to sort of dictate this, you should try this, you should try that. I think this structure is better than the one you came up with. And you have to be, as a filmmaker, you have to know what battles to fight with execs, what battles not to fight, when to give in, when not to give in, when to compromise, when not to compromise, so you don't feel like you've diluted the story that you wanted to tell. And it's always a dance, you're always sort of dancing with these execs, you give a little, you take a little, give a little, you take a little. And sometimes I win some battles, sometimes I win some battles, sometimes I lose some battles. But, it's a part of what I call filmmaking is a part of the life journey. There's ups and downs and rounds, good and bad. That's what makes the world go round. So, and luckily I can still smile, even though sometimes I can be angry. At the end of the day, I say, okay, that didn't work out so well, but maybe the next one will. Or this relationship got a little frayed. Maybe we can repair it. It's part of this whole life process, which quite honestly, I was thinking about it last night. I was watching something. I said, I'm going to miss being on this earth.
Wow, right?
Yeah.
It's funny you should say that because my next question to you was going to be, what was the last film or documentary you watched that stayed with you, long after the credits rolled, the next day, weeks later, you're still thinking about this project?
It was The Zone of Interest. Have you seen that film?
I have not.
Yeah, it's about this family that's living during the Holocaust, and the family's the father is a Nazi officer who's running, I guess which prison, I forget now, but he was at this prison and they had a house next door. You never see what's happening at the prison, but you see the family's life, the everyday life, as you're hearing the sounds and the noises coming from the prison. Called The Zone of Interest. It was an interesting film, directed by Jonathan Glazer.
All right, right on. I will check
Yeah,
that out.
yeah, it stayed with
Um,
me. Definitely stayed with me.
okay, very nice. So clearly, sir, you're known for your work, on acclaimed films, award-winning films, several Spike Lee projects, of course. What has been your experience collaborating with Mr. Lee on projects like Four Little Girls, Mo Better Blues? How would you describe your creative energy and creative process working with Spike Lee?
Well, it started in 1988 and it probably continued up until about 2013, 2014. And I always say, without any hesitation, Spike is one of the great filmmakers, not only in America, but in the world. And, he's a tough, no nonsense director who always is definitive about his attitudes and reactions to the stuff that you show him as an editor. You know, I never had him say, well, I'm not sure. Let's try this. I'm not sure. He's always definitive. And, you know, it was a collaboration that, quite honestly, you know, in some ways gave me creative impetus for my own career. There's things that I did after I started working with Spike as a director. You know, basically, I was becoming a director in the late 90s, early 2000s that were informed by what I did with Spike, you know, stylistically, you know, emotionally, informationally, so, you know, to me, it was phenomenal collaboration. I mean, I enjoyed working on the feature films, and I loved working on the docs, Four Little Girls and When the Levees Broke, and If God Is Willing. So, yeah, listen, he's a great filmmaker. It was a wonderful collaboration. And I'm working with him now on another project about Katrina 20 years later, where he's directing one of the episodes. So, you know, he's not to say he's not a challenging guy. He is. But if you're up to it, you'll come away feeling like, yeah, okay, we made something that's interesting.
What do you hope to see in the future representation of the global Black experience in storytelling?
I think you're seeing it. I think, you know, you got filmmakers now from around the world, like Raoul Peck is a great example, a Haitian French filmmaker, you know, who's telling stories that not only deal with the experience of people of color, but beyond that. I mean, he's also a fiction director. You know, you got Ava DuVernay making films that are wonderful, like her film Origin, which is phenomenal. You know, you have so many filmmakers now who are stretching the bounds of what it means to tell story through fiction or nonfiction or collapsing both together. So I think it bodes well for what's happening for people of color in cinema. I mean, listen, for me, coming up in the 70s, there weren't a lot of filmmakers of color that you could recognize or think about. I mean, there was Sembène in Senegal, there was St. Clair Born in the States, there was, Haile Jarima and Howard, but it's growing more in terms of filmmakers like Rao, like, Stanley Nelson, who are pulling out and shaping stories that are important and need to be told.
Very good. Well, Mr. Pollard, that's all I have for you today, sir. I really appreciate you giving me your time.
My pleasure.
Congratulations. I suppose don't need to be said, but I'm saying anyway for your award, the Trailblazer Award. And I had never heard of
All
the
right.
Black Public Media and this
Oh, Pitch Forum,
pitch
you ever
event
heard of it?
that they're hosting with
Yeah.
the independent filmmakers. But I think it's fabulous. I think it's a wonderful endeavor, and I can't wait to share this conversation and more about this organization with my readers. So
Where are you based?
I'm based in Chicago.
Okay. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
been around. Black Public Media used to be the National Black Programming Consortium,
Okay.
which was part of public television.
Yeah. Right on.
I've been involved with them for years. They've helped fund some of my films. They've been around a long time.
Very good.
All
Well,
right.
thank you so much, sir. Thank you for giving me your time.
My pleasure. Enjoy your
Have a
day.
great rest of your day.
You too.